Oh, okay. Take it a second. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay. You made it down.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, like that back out of there. Of course, we had the elementary way.
That's fair. That's just like them around. It's a feeling.
Okay, notice is hereby given that the Laguna Beach Community Development Corporation will hold a meeting on Monday, the second day of October 2023, 6 p.m. at Laguna Beach City Hall located at 122 Fernandez, Laguna Beach, Texas, at which time the following items will be discussed. Call the meeting to order at approximately 6:05. And we will have our pledge of allegiance. If you don't mind saying anything.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Yes. Ms. Calloway? Mr. Belforsa?
Here.
Chamberlain? Ms. West? Here. Ms. Kathy E? And Ms. Knight.
So we're going to address the open forum, and I'll go through this very quickly because I know your child are anxious. Agreement. At this time, the audience is allowed 3 minutes per person to address the board on any topic, which according to what I have here on paperwork is all concerning the clinic. There is no discussion or formal action taken during this agenda item. A speaker request form must be presented to the city secretary prior to the meeting. So I'm going to read from the top to the bottom and allow you each to have your 3 minutes. Please also consider that once we start the meeting, we're going to, not allow that you have any interaction at that time. So if you've not filled out one of these, please do so. Okay. Also, so that you're aware, we're going to table all of the action items that we have on our agenda, and we're going to move to the medical clinic search forward to the top point, so that it will be inclusive to everyone in case that you need to be other sections. So right now, we're going to go forward with the open forum. In front of me, I have a request to speak from Brian Cantor. Mr. Cantor. Dr. Cantor.
My mother told me. I practiced medicine in Minnesota for 40 years. I was at a multi-specialty clinic in a town of 15,000 with a population of 35,000, from which fewer patients, mostly rural.
Could you speak a little louder?
Okay, sorry. Patient base, we had 35,000 people, mostly rural, so we were major hub for them to come to. About 1982 or so, Minnesota at least got into the HMO insurance company pretty much. And before we knew it, we were being swallowed up by big HMOs out of the Twin Cities or up from Mayo Clinic. And when they said they wanted to take us over, and we said we didn't wish to, they simply said, no problem. We're gonna sell the insurance for the Red Wing Shoe Company, which has 3,000 jobs for a town of 15,000. And your clinic won't be approved. So they'll go to your competitor. Well, after about 5 years, everybody had been gobbled up. We had an 88-bed hospital. I was boarded in pulmonary as well as medicine, and I ran the ICU. Our ICU closed after 5 years because anyone with chest pain, the helicopters came right down and took them out. We lost all of our ICU beds. We went from 88 beds down to about 40. Most of our good surgeons, if they did orthopedics, ophthalmology, they had to go elsewhere or circuit ride. And so how does this affect us here? Well, I can tell you from my experience as well as the experience I had in the inner city with similar problems of being gobbled up. You're going to not be making money as a University of Texas from the money generated for the fee for service. You make it taking the expensive procedure patients out of the area and put them up with a revenue in there. So to say you're not making money out of a small community clinic, it's really not fair if you're just talking about money patients give you. It's the procedures or the specialists getting kidney, stroke patients, etc. So you've got a large number of elderly people here. I'm 75, so I guess that's old. We all have Medicare, and most of us are affluent enough. We have a second policy as well. So there is money here to be had, even if it's not enough to make a huge profit. It should allow you to continue to have a small clinic. I don't know how many people are on the island, but there's a lot of them that are there for part of the time, not the whole year, but would also be able to be available of our clinic. So I'm just saying it's not just the fee for service here that's going to pay for this clinic.
Thank you, Dr. Cantor. Okay, next I have a Miss Nancy Otison.
Addison.
Otison, okay.
Yes, thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak. I've been a resident 5 years, this next month. The first year I was here, I wasn't eligible for Medicare. The second year I was here, I was eligible, and then began my search to find doctors and care. And I ended up at Valley Baptist, and I wasn't seeing regular doctors. What I was seeing was interns that were there for 1 year. So every year I had a new person, and they varied very much in quality and what they understood in their patient repertoire and so on and so forth. So when this opened, it was like the answer to a prayer. It's 5 minutes from where I live. I have a registered nurse that can do the annual physical. I have a Dr. Manyasov. He comes once a week. If I have something serious that I need tended to, he can get me in for x-rays, which he's done in Harlingen. But the other thing that they provide is during a pandemic, the University of Texas was fantastic. They have a very comprehensive IT database. I was able to log in there. My husband and I were able to be the second week of people that were processed through McAllen. And it was phenomenal how organized they were in administering the vaccine. So we both had our first and second shots, and then we had our booster here. In addition, as what you pointed out too, there's a lot of special, they provide like a first pre-diagnosis for people who have serious diseases. One of the things that they do is they provide a network and provide interface with specialists that can help you with your cancer screening, speaking personally, whether it's for skin, for colon, for breast examinations. They put you in touch with those people that can help you, and will even make the appointments for you. They also, since they have a doctor on staff, they can write prescriptions for you, which are coordinated with the local Walgreens. So in short, it saves you, if you have something going on, you don't have to drive to Austin, San Antonio or Houston. And I'm 70 years old, my husband's 75, and I know there's a large community that are in the same boat that I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have, Ms. Maddie Louise.
That is I. Thank you
Hi.
for the opportunity. This morning I dropped off a paper of talking points addressed to the city manager. I believe that's you.
Yes,
Nice
ma'am.
to meet you. Randy.
Nice to meet you.
It's attached, that is attached to it. I can't probably add anything to the articulation and points being put forth by our fellow residents here about how valuable that clinic is and what a devastating impact it would have if it was not here. But yet it all comes down to dollars and cents. And I'd like to, if I may, Ms. Gonzalez, I don't know if you had a chance to read my talking points, maybe you can, to hasten this 3 minutes up. But there was a statement made by council member Tolan that the reason why that clinic was gonna close was due to lack of business. Almost sounds like a nail salon, right? Lack of business, lack of patience, I think is what I meant to say. So what I would like to ask, can you provide data on the declining number of patients on a year-to-year basis, 5 years to the present time, right? To support that statement that there is not enough business to sustain or patients to sustain that clinic. Yes,
We can't interact with you, I'm sorry. Accordingly, it's very clear that you can make your statement. You can provide your paperwork statement, but we cannot answer.
at this moment, but it
You
can
can
be
respond in
answered.
writing
I
later.
think what I'm asking, can it be?
Yes,
Okay,
good.
good.
And I'm gonna address your talking points during the,
Okay, number two, there was a meeting about 1.5 years ago of the town council renegotiating a renewal. And I understand that residents in our presence here were called to testify as to the value of that clinic in their lives. It was also, I believe, agreed to that the council decided, yes, it was worth continuing, maintaining, and therefore would work out terms with UTRGV. Never heard a thing about it over 1.5 years ago until a couple of days ago when Nextdoor blew up. But we've not been apprised of whatever happened. So the ask on that, what was the main issue that derailed that renewal? It takes two parties to negotiate. What was the main issue? Was it finance? Was it that how much this town is willing to continue to support that clinic? That's also in the talking point. The third talking point, if I may find my own, okay, is that you stated in a Nextdoor post that this city has spent lots of money on the clinic. Can you account for the expenditures year to year for the last 5 fiscal years, including this fiscal year of 2023, of the lots and lots of money the city has expended on that clinic in an itemized fashion? What are you spending the money on? Rent, improvements? It's already built out. So I think that would be an important data point for residents to know. And then my last, it's not a point, it's an ask. Do you believe that city officials, and particularly you, Ms. Gonzalez, have competently communicated this issue to the residents of Buena Vista? And with that, I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, I have Mr. Lane Beasley.
Hi, thank you. What I'm gonna give you guys is a patient count for the last 11 months of the clinic.
Oh, good for you.
So
All right.
you guys are in it. Thanks. All right, first off, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity. My name is Lance Deaton. I'm a homeowner here in Laguna Vista, which means I'm invested in our town. We came here for the first time in 2020. We fell in love with the area. We sold our home. We sold our business. We built a home here. Didn't know anyone moved across country to do that. We enjoy very much the stable infrastructure that's provided here, the fire, police department. nice roads, etc. Another amenity that made our decision easier was having a local healthcare option that was part of a larger hospital system. I have several health conditions, including a bad heart, diabetes, and joint pain. I receive a bi-weekly injection at the clinic. Takes 30 seconds. Go in, get shot, leave. Now that's gonna take me an hour. Okay? I have regular appointments with Dr. Manusov. I am not alone. Many residents are older and have a variety of advanced diseases that require close monitoring by a physician. The demise of our clinic didn't just happen overnight. As far back as 14 months ago, the clinic's future was being discussed. On December 29th, 2022, angered by the clinic's staff's insistence on following protocols, our city manager on a recorded line said, and I'm paraphrasing, that she would see to it that the employees of the clinic would lose their jobs and that the clinic would be shut down. This threat appears to come to fruition.
What reason?
In the months since, Ms. Gonzalez has made no secret of her animosity. And the reason for that was that she was angry that the clinic did not follow, or she was angry that the clinic was following.
Sir, we can't have discussion. We are we are.
Ms. Gonzalez has made no secret of her animosity.
Okay.
She is on the record claiming that the clinic only sees 46 patients a month. More accurate number is over 200. My contention that this is a personal vendetta in the guise of tough choices. Fact of the matter is UTRGV threw in the towel because Ms. Gonzalez intransigence and how difficult working with the town has been. Now we find ourselves on the precipice of regressing 25 years as a community. Today's medicine depends on the ability to share records, diagnoses, and referrals immediately and electronically. Being part of the greater UTRGV Health Campus means that labs get done quickly, diagnoses are more accurate, and the outcomes are more favorable. We will struggle to attract another clinic with the capabilities of the current clinic. Odds are pretty good we won't see another clinic at all. Or if we do, it'll be a for-profit pop-up clinic with no hospital affiliation. The citizens of Laguna Vista will be forced to travel unnecessarily 45 minutes or more for their routine health care. Our city manager claims she's been busy recruiting a new clinic. As a matter of fact, doing your job should have been asking UTRGV what they needed from Laguna Vista in order to stay here. Lastly, my question for our leaders, is it too late to save the relationship with UTRGV? Thank you for your service, guys.
Thank you. Okay, fifth, now we have, I'm not sure the first name, but the last name was that Cresswell?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
my name is Rawson Cresswell. I'm the retired executive director of the American Diabetes Association in Houston. And thank you all for your time and consideration. I'm glad that y'all are gonna take an effort to solve the problem. I noticed there was a sheet here that said that there is no longer gonna be a clinic due to a mutually agreeable situation. I hope that'll be communicated to us what that agreement is. And I have more questions than answers. I guess, what is a contingency plan? Since we've been in negotiations, and I testified here a year and a half, 2 years ago about the renewal of this clinic. And apparently we've been slowballed in that negotiation. So I guess should have had or had some contingency opportunities and plans. So my question is, what are those contingencies? The second thing is, the area hospital is short of staff, medical personnel, and they have contract out brokers. You go to the cardiac unit, there's nurses from all over the world, all over the country, and the same with every other kind of medical area and area. So, I hope that's something that y'all consider, is that we go to a medical brokerage firm to, on the interim basis, what are we gonna do? And that may be one opportunity or one option. The other thing is the Baylor College of Medicine has a program that they've been doing here for 30 to 40 years in South Texas, and the Colonials, and they send their medical staff to students down here to service South Texas. And I don't know, has that been part of our contingency plan? What about the Memorial Hospital or any of the other, I guess, religious hospital systems that they've been approached? I guess the larger question is, what are our city taxes paying for? What's our budget? You know, where I live, we take care of our own roads. We have our own electrical system. We're paying for our own water. We're paying for our own, waste, waste. What services is the city provided? And I think this should be the number one priority that this city provides, whether they hire the folks or whether they contract them out or enter into a partnership. And, my next question is, what's gonna happen when the first house burns down? We've got a volunteer fire department, which is great and very dedicated people, but when are we gonna put up the money to fund a full-time fire department? We've passed taxes for an EMS system, but all of that needs to be included in this funding situation. So thank you all for your time and the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Chris. Next one. Donald Hayden.
If you don't mind, I prefer looking at people can have a conversation. My name's Don Hayden. I'm the western half of the party that not covered. She's the only one. We've been tax-paying residents here in the for 24 years. And to put this in perspective, my comments, where do they come from? I know I don't look like it now because I'm in the beach bum phase of my life. But like Ralston, I used to run healthcare companies. I ran one of the largest national medical imaging organizations in the country. I have seen healthcare systems locally, community-based across the entire country. I know what separates the mediocre from the excellent. And let me just tell you, based on that experience, the Laguna Vista UTRGV clinic here falls under the excellent end of the continuum. Now, having said that, the city's handling and UTRG's handling of this issue has not even risen to the level of mediocre. This has been bungled from the beginning. I came in 6 times to ask for 15 minutes, city manager's time, to discuss this issue. The last time I came resulted in a phone call. Number 6 was obviously the magic number. And Randy and I had a discussion. I'm looking around and I see something that I haven't seen in this community for over 25 years. And it's simply this. I'm seeing a community that's galvanized. I have never seen this community turn out like this on an issue before. Folks, wake up. This is an important issue to our community, to our residents, and to those of us who are consumers of the product. A few quick statistics, because there's going to be a demographic statement that's going to be distributed to everyone. So you don't have to speculate. You got facts and statistics, but here it is in a nutshell. There are roughly 3,200, based on the 2020 census, 3,200 residents in this community. There are about 1,600 households. The median age of the resident here in Laguna Vista is 58.3 years compared to, for example, the overall average anywhere else is 38.7. We have a demographic that's 20 years older than that found anywhere else in the country or anywhere else in these surrounding counties. That demographic, the gerontology population, we are consumers in need that kind of support. I can hear my little buzzer going off. Susan would say, sit down.
Can we allow Mr. Hayden to leave?
Please, yeah, please continue.
Ma'am,
one quick comment. I'm gonna do some summarizing. If you look at our community, if you look at our demographics, the facts, this is a community in need. And the idea that somebody floated that we can't make this a financially viable or a supportable venture, come on. And UTRGV bungled this from the absolute get-go. They're not done. And one last comment, and then I promise I'll sit down. Having a gathering like this is important. This is a nice first step, but this isn't sufficient, not close. So there are a number of us who have gathered together. We're going to hold an open community forum on Tuesday, October 10th at the SBI HOA meeting room. And all of you and all of your neighbors, all the city management, the UTRGV is going to have representation there. And I can tell you that our local state political leaders feel that's an important component. They'll be there. We'll all be there. And we'll have an opportunity for the first time, which is the shame, the first time to address the issue. What does this mean to our community? Why weren't we consulted? Why weren't we provided with an opportunity to respond?
Mr. Hayden,
And thank you.
thank you, sir. I want to thank all of you for doing that. I really do. You know, we are dedicated to taking care of our community, regardless of what you might do. And right now, I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier. We are going to table all the other issues on our agenda. We're going to go to item 4, which is the consideration of possible action. Listen to this. Consideration of possible action regarding incentivizing a medical clinic in the town of Laguna Beach. The general manager, our city manager, Lindy Gonzalez, is going to take the floor at this time. And we need to give her due respect. We cannot allow any interjections. We cannot allow any questions. And at the end of her presentation, then we'll see what our next step is. If I can have your cooperation.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, as you know, I'm Randy Gonzalez, the city manager here. I've been here for, going on 2 years, and I'm really sorry that it's the first time I got to meet most of you under these circumstances. I love this town. I've loved it and fought really, really hard to get this position. So I want to start with letting each of you know that I empathize with you and I understand everything that you're going through. So I want to give you the timeline of events and share on the city's behalf of what we've done, what the CDC's done, what I've done. And then at that point, if there's still more questions, I'm happy to talk about it. So the original agreement, just so we can all be clear on what has been paid and what has been agreed to be paid, just for a little history. The original agreement was done back in 2018. The agreement was a 5-year agreement with a lump sum investment of $41,000 to do all of the improvements of that clinic space over there. So they could use it for the build out, for equipment. The exact language in the agreement was $41,000 for a lump sum for any improvements necessary to render the leased premise suitable for use as a health services clinic and acquisition of any equipment required for the operation of the clinic. So there was $41,000 done as initial investment to help the clinic get ready to open their doors. At that point, the first year, the CDC, let me back up one step. All of this has been done through the CDC funds, which are completely separate from the general funds and what our general budget does. These funds are created as a part of the sales tax revenue that the town gets. So this is not from our property tax money. This is the tax revenue that we get from the CDC board. So that's where this entire clinic has been funded through the CDC board. So the first year, we were paying $6,000 a quarter for the Sorry, I had the sound on for the timer, so I apologize. The first year, we were paying $6,000 a quarter, so $24,000 annually to offset the rent of the clinic facility. The second part of the agreement was for the second and third year agreement was that we would pay $7,500 a quarter, which equals $30,000 annually to offset the cost of the clinic, which is, it equals out to the rent. The rent of the building when the clinic initially went in was $2,500 a month. When the new owner purchased it, the rent was increased, well, not when he purchased it, but at some point, the rent was increased from $2,500 to $3,000 a month. But the town to agreed to the initial $125,000 and then continued to pay the $36,000 for the rent, or the $30,000 for the rental payments for years 2 and 3. So that's the initial $125,000 that the CDC paid in the first 4 years of operation. For the 5th year of operation, we continued to pay the $30,000 as the negotiations started for the UTRGV clinic to remain in business. Because that has been the point of every discussion since the beginning of this, was to keep it open. We have spent hours, and I can justify hours of my time, hours of the CDC's time, meeting with UTRGV clinic representatives to keep this clinic open. When they sent us the request for renewal of agreement, their agreement was they requested $125,000 annually from the CDC. So the agreement initially for the first 5 years, or 4 years, I'm sorry, was $125,000 for 4 years worth of assistance. They requested from the CDC at that point $125,000 annually. So the math on that is a 300,000+ % increase. To give you some perspective, the CDC's budget, available uncommitted budget at that point, was only $221,000. So it was asking the CDC for almost half or of their operating budget. So we went to work trying to figure out why the clinic was needing so much money. The negotiations, this is the first time we decided talking about it, was in March of 2022. And it was on the agenda for the CDC in March of 2022. It was on the agenda May 2022, June 2022, July 2022, October of 2022, and November of 22. And in January of 2023, the UTRGV agreement was approved by the Community Development Board to extend agreement. The terms, however, were not, all of that was going through the negotiations. So we have had as many people, I would say more people have called my office to complain about the clinic than I unfortunately get praise and positive feedback. This was brought to me by providers not being available, people not being able to get their blood work drawn, providers not being there. So when we started the negotiations, we brought in the Dr. Nelson, who was UTRGV's representative of UTRGV, and we brought all of these concerns to the table. We said, these are the complaints we're getting. This is what's going on. How can we fix it? How can we go better? The clinic needs to survive. It needs to thrive. And we asked them what their metrics were for seeing patients. They, at the time, they were seeing the end of 2021, 2022 fiscal year. Their operating cost was a loss of $284,000. They were only seeing 2,200 patients that year. That was what by UTRGV's documents. That's what they submitted to us, that was what they were seeing, is 2,200 patients annually. That averages out to about 7 patients a day. What successful average clinics during our research showed that you would see anywhere between 16 to 20 patients a day. New patients getting 30-minute visits, established patients getting 15 minutes a visit, más o menos. We understand we're a smaller community, so even if you go on the smaller side of that, it's still more than 7 patients per day. So we asked, how can we help? How can we advertise? What can we do? What can we do to make this survive? they had the unfortunate time of COVID where they were closed a lot of the time during the COVID. And so, you know, we took that into consideration, that that's probably why their numbers were down. We wanted to stick by them, figure out how we could do this. I had multiple meetings with their marketing team, that we would say all these things that they were gonna do, and then nothing would happen. I've asked them to do flag signage out there. I've asked them to, you know, how can we, I went so far as saying, can the city council approve a special, a sign, use and put a different sign out there to advertise for the clinic? You know, I offered our digital services to advertise. I said, if you would send us stuff, I can put it on our Facebook page. The UTRGV clinic, both the original and the revised, that was approved. I want to make sure everyone's really clear. I know that information has gotten sent out that the city did not, but we did extend till December 31st and agreed to annually look at the numbers, because while we want the clinic to survive, we also have to be financially responsible to your sales tax dollars as well. So we don't want to invest your money into something that is not surviving. And at the time of as we've gone through all the negotiations, and as Dean Patriarca was here one time, Dr. Nelson was here at other times, they would tell us that they were gonna do better. They would tell us that we would give them all of the feedback, the negatives, that people, like what the problems were, so they could improve, so they could do different. I think one of the times they said it was their phone system that they had converted, and so that's why people were getting routed other places. And another time was they're having trouble staffing the clinic, so they didn't have, you know, the appropriate front-end staff. And so we have, since this time, you know, tried to be there, tried to listen, what can we do? And at the end of the day, we asked them, you know, if we agree to pay your rent for another year, can we turn this around? And then we will look at it again in another year. We asked for them to provide us their metrics quarterly of how many patients they were seeing, to make sure we could be responsible that the uptick in numbers were going up, that they were advertising, and that their numbers were, you know, reflective, that they were eventually at some point going to be self-sustaining. Because at this point, the numbers that they were asking for, even if the clinic put, like I told you, the profit loss statement for the UTRGV clinic for 21-22 ended them at $286,000 in the hole. So even if we had given them what they asked for, which was $125,000, which the board deemed not something that they couldn't do, they still would have been $160,000 in the hole. And they never came to us with the proposal of how they were going to make up that difference. So we have worked tirelessly to keep it, and you guys do deserve a clinic, and we will replace this with something. And I understand that it's not what you guys want to hear. I do understand that there are some very successful stories of people that love this clinic, but I can't make UTRGV stay. I've tried for a year and a half to make them profitable. And even if I would have offered them all of the CDC's money and said, here's all $250,000 that we have, their clinic still would have been in the hole, and they still would have left. They have not handled this at all well. We found out because of next door. They didn't call and tell me. They didn't call and tell the landlord. I had no idea. We had the agreement, as far as we were concerned, they were opened until December 31st, and that we were going to look at the metrics and everything that they've done throughout the year, and then hopefully go forward, renegotiate, make sure everything's good to go, and then continue year by year, just so we can be financially responsible to you guys with the money that we're spending. So it's twofold, because we're willing to put anything we can into anything that's gonna be successful, and had $125,000 gonna do it, I think the board would have considered a much different approach. But the numbers that UTRGV themselves provided us does not support that. We've asked, I asked for them to be present. I know some community members have asked for them to respond. I am sorry that this clinic is closing. I think that they should have done better. I wish they would have worked harder to market this, because I do think that there are enough citizens out here to support a clinic. I had 3 phone calls in the same amount that I had 5 call me to ask what's going on. I had 3 call crying because they couldn't get an appointment, that they wouldn't draw their blood work, that there wasn't a PA. And I can tell you that I've had countless numbers of stories about staff members here, police officers here that have gone and tried to see the clinic and have gotten turned away. So I'm not saying that everything you guys have and feel isn't legitimate, but there's the other side. And if the clinic is going to turn a little girl away that has a fever because it's 4:30 and they close at 5, I can't convince that person to go back there again, no matter how much money I throw at the problem. So I want to provide you guys something that serves everybody. I don't want to just serve partial of the community, and we have to be fiscally responsible with all of it. So if there's something that I've missed or more specifics that you guys want, I'm happy to take questions.
I have a question. I mean, something just doesn't connect.
Okay.
You said a year and a half you've been negotiating. And the first time you hear this is going south is through next door?
I heard, the first that I heard that they were actually leaving in December, yes,
Are you serious now? You stand by that statement?
I do.
Where you been a year and a half? If you were across the negotiating table,
We were
with
in
these tough folks, didn't you get an inkling of what their intentions were gonna be?
Their intentions with us was if we signed this another agreement for a year, that they would work for this next 365 days to make the clinic successful, and that we would discuss towards the end of this quarter, probably usually around October, November this time, they would have talked and said if we would agree for the next year. They had not called me. I had not heard from them in months.
You didn't follow up?
But there wasn't anything to follow up with. The
You didn't get a
contract
call.
signed, they are supposed to give us quarterly reports. We've not received anything from them. They were supposed to be at each of our,
If I may interject, I've been on this board since 2019.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So I've been on the CDC board for 40 years. And I can validate what Ms. Randy is saying about negotiations and timely requests. We have a fiduciary obligation, and it's in our documentation that requires us to get certain documents from them that supports the monies that we are allowing to give them, and they were not forthcoming. And when she says that she called and that she's tried and that she has time and time again asked them to cooperate, it just didn't happen.
Can I ask a question? Who is she communicating with?
That will be
Directly.
addressed. Again, we went to the top to the bottom. Because when you go in the clinic, they have a propensity, if there's no one there staff wise, we don't know.
Not lately. The new girl tells you everything. They're great.
But
They're
does
awesome
she have the
right now.
authority? No.
She's awesome. They got an awesome team
The
happening.
thing of it
You're
is-
talking about crazy, whatever that lady was before. That was a mess then, but now
No,
it's
we're not
rolling right
talking
along.
about that. We're talking about the people that sign the agreements that are going to be responsible for accepting the money. And
I spoke to Dean, Michael Patriarca. So that's who I would deal with. I did, and Dr. Nelson.
Hey, can I jump in here for a second? And I think we're listening. It's a losing business proposition.
But that's not our
You're
problem.
wrong. It is
That's
our
their
problem.
You're wrong. Did
It
you
is
hear
our
the
problem.
numbers he just gave y'all?
So what's an average Medicare doctor visit pay?
But it doesn't
I
matter.
mean, see, there's a business case
It's
here
not
and I'm
our
looking at
business.
it.
Did you not hear his
Just hang
information?
on a second, just looking at the numbers, right? This average is about 10 people a day, this right here, and that's it. Is that a business case that
It's
can
not
make
our
that thing
problem.
work?
It's not our problem.
Well, it is, because
Well,
you're
it is
asking
the
us to
same.
give money to something, if it's a losing proposition, how's it
But
gonna continue?
we're not taking the loss. We're gonna give that money whether they make money or not.
Listen,
Yeah, I know, but what they're saying is, I think the thing you're missing
Well,
is
so
that
you're-
there was, hang on just a second, dude. What's happening here is that they're telling you, I want $125,000 a year. Well, guess what? We only get $100,000 a year here. We couldn't even afford to do it. Right? It doesn't, there's a business problem here. The problem is these numbers probably need to be higher,
Certainly.
right? They probably need to
But
be
that's not
higher,
our
but how much higher than they go for a town
That's
of
their
3,500
responsibility.
people?
And the city's responsibility. it's a partnership, and the two entities should have been doing dual marketing to
Absolutely.
increase the
And
patient.
we kept trying and
Plus-
trying and that's.
plus-
Here's what.
Plus, Dr. Cantor indicated that they make their money from Las Vegas.
Here's what's bothering a lot of people, there's no specificity, okay? You have countless calls, countless. How many calls did you have? People getting turned away for service, who's turned away for service? Specificity, attention to detail,
After
follow
4
up,
years.
follow through. If you can say that you've done all of those things and you can provide that information to the citizens, then we might see your point of view. But all of you, and
For 4 years.
UTRGV can't defend themselves, they're not here.
Right.
So we can say whatever we wanna say about them.
They chose not to be here. They choose.
And that's what happened.
That's what I'm trying to say. to
That,
you.
and that's,
It is not-
once again, that's the choice. But
Short
you
notice.
can't- Yeah, I mean, you
Well,
can't,
it's
you can't
yes.
badmouth
They've
the
known,
organization,
Stop,
it's not
stop,
gonna
stop,
defend
stop,
themselves.
stop, time out, people.
So,
Ma'am,
I think what I'm hearing here, and it is really, disheartening, now I'm gonna use that as a polite word, is that y'all are just turning it into us for them. You're leaving us out of it.
That's right.
You're
Wait,
talking
wait,
about,
wait,
you
wait,
sir,
wait,
blue
wait,
shirt,
wait,
I don't know who you are, maybe you would like to tell us who you
My
are.
name's Kurt Chamberlain,
Nice to
and I'm
meet
just
you,
down
Mr.
to take a
Chamberlain.
look at it from a business
Thank you, Mr.
perspective.
Chamberlain,
right?
I'm sure, all right,
Okay,
it's your
all
point.
right.
But I am beginning as a resident to feel very disheartened that you're looking at this like just pure
No,
shekels and nickels
No, ma'am.
and not to the people.
I'm
who
gonna,
it
I'm gonna
directly
give you my
affects.
own story, if you give me the time. In 2018, I had 2 strokes in 1 week. That clinic over there saved me,
Okay,
Me
okay?
how much is that worth?
So,
To Mr. Chamberlain,
there is
how
no
much is that
price.
worth?
My point here is, there are goods and there are bads here. And what we have tried and kept trying to do was to bring this together to where we could afford to help them, but you gotta come and meet us halfway. And that was not happening. I don't know how else to put it. We have tried and ultimately, everything is documented with every meeting that we've had. And we've had them come sometimes, like this gentleman here. And again, that was what I kept trying to get across to the people that live here. Houston, go there, help them, help us. But half the time, well, I've got a doctor over there or a doctor over there. No one wanted to use them.
I'm gonna.
They know
Nobody
they're there.
approached me.
You see?
Did anybody approach you, Dylan? Did anybody want to talk to you? Seems like out of this group of people, there'd be 1 or 2 that maybe you approached to talk to. No.
can I ask a question? So is this gentleman here a physician,
No, he's our attorney.
your attorney? I thought there was a position on this board at one time.
Dr. Romero used to be the one, so that when you came and was here, Dr. Chris Romero was the president of the CDC. He's now on the town council. Yeah.
So I guess your document over here said this was a mutually agreeable decision. Was there a vote taken?
By mutual, what that means is that we cannot subsidize them $284,000. So if that's what they needed to stay open, I can't give them $284,000.
So if he was a physician, I was gonna ask him, what is it gonna cost to bring in a primary care physician along with a PA and a medical assistant to run this clinic? How much is that gonna cost per year? Probably a hell of a lot more than $280,000. Probably $500,000. So is this committee, you're gonna look at opportunities for incentives to recruit someone?
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we'll hear the plan for that.
Yes.
And so is there gonna be not only this budget, but then the city's gonna fork out another $250,000 to fund that? What's,
That's
Where you gonna-
where we're at with the discussions, because like I said, until last Tuesday, we were under the impression from UTRGV that they were going to be here until December 31st. We
At
were going
least.
to, at least, we were hoping this will be successful. I didn't want this clinic to fail. None of us wanted this clinic to fail. So there are discussions. I have made phone calls to other clinics, to other practices, to other providers. We're start the process because you guys do need a clinic. We believe in a clinic. But I don't have those answers other than we wanted to get direction as far as, I have to answer to them to make sure I have their approval to give, the incentives or offer any type of incentives to bring the board to a clinic that I speak to. But UTRGV had not. They let me know last Tuesday after I called and said, I'm getting calls from residents saying that they're being told that the clinic is closing. I got an email that said, yes, unfortunately, I'm sorry you found out this way, but we have decided to close our business. That was the first time I've heard about it, and I have been on the phone nonstop with residents and UTRGV. I was on the phone all day Saturday with them trying to figure out what's going on. We were on a conference call at 2 o'clock this afternoon, trying to get them answers, demanding answers for you guys, because they should be here explaining this to you. This is their business. I can't answer to when a PA is there or is not there. I can't answer to staff that's appropriate or not appropriate. I can't answer to why lab work can't get read. I don't know, when the PA's out on, those are things that are just beyond what I can control, what I can.
Has the mayor interfaced with, UT?
He's trying, they won't call him back. He's actually reached out to Dean Patriarca as well, and asked him to, come speak at a town council meeting. And he is still waiting for a return phone call back from him. So I know all of you are upset and angry with me, and I'm sorry, but I can sit here and look at you and tell you that I have worked to try to keep this agreement. They have worked to try to keep this agreement and to keep this clinic, profitable. And even if it didn't make a profit, at least where we could keep it, but we don't have enough money. We just don't.
Yeah, this is great information right here, by the way, because we're gonna go out and talk to people. They need to know how many people came in here. Because somebody has to make a business plan, guys. This is a business, whether we like it or not. So there's no way we can figure it out until we know, and they look at that and go, hey, I can make X amount of money on that. Then, hey, board, can you do this? And until we do that, because apparently our UTRTV did it, and they said, we want 125,000 a year. That's 25,000 a year more than we get in revenue. So that's a not, that doesn't work.
One thing, to interject, no, this is a business, right?
Yeah.
We all pay taxes. University of Texas Medical Center is run off that tax dollar. Part of the obligation is the loss share, people like us. You provide care, no matter where in the state. If my dollar is as good as the guy in San Antonio's dollar, who's trying to get a big old hospital built, number one. Number two, I only knew about the clinic being here because my neighbor going there and told me when I asked him if he knew a place, because when I went to the doctor had left. I have seen no advertising anywhere. And that's again, the business, the UT people that need to be doing that.
Oh, I totally agree with you, but it's University of Texas, it's a small little government. They got more money than God. And by the way, the majority of the money University of Texas system comes from the permanent university fund, which is 500 times more than they get in taxes from the state of Texas. But obviously, they were a poorly run organization,
Okay.
which is part of the problem, right?
Okay, I'm out. Yes, Wes, I'm gonna recognize you.
Thank you. I just have, talking about a business proposition, the reason UTRGV entered into this was as a feeder for their specialty clinics.
Yes.
And we need to go back and realize that it's a business for them to feed their specialty clinics. I worked for a major health system for 20 years. We opened clinics and they were gonna lose money, yes. But the referrals that went to the cardiologists and went to the orthopedic surgeons and everybody else is what made it a good business decision. When Randy is not understating how frustrating it has been to ask for very specific metrics month after month and not receive anything from them. Yes, negotiation has to go both ways, but we have really met a lot and agonized over it and asked for information.
What you just described is absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable in any business environment. And I ran businesses. And at the end of the day, the books don't balance. You're not going to be there. But what you just described, unacceptable. And so my question comes back, how many of us that were responsible for running businesses would have tolerated that? You call and you say, excuse me, you owe us that conversation. You owe us that information. Open your books. And if they won't do it for you or anybody else in the city, I can assure you that the people that carry their purse strings, that hold sway over their budgets in the state legislature, they'll listen to them, which is how they're going to be invited to the community forum on October 10th. My guess is that we're likely to see both Dean Hocker and Dean, what's
Patriarcha,
Patriarcha.
I'm not sure.
Patriarcha. I think we'll see them both here, and they should have been here. They should have been here all along with all of you. But when they didn't show up, those calls should have gone. It should not have been left. And look around this room. There's a thread of continuity that runs throughout everybody in this room, which is we want what's best and good, including healthcare for our community. We all agree on that. You've seen more aggregated, galvanized community interest and commitment here than I've seen in 20 years. Use it. There are those of us here who've had the experience. We have physicians, we have business managers. Surely we can sit down and work out some kind of arrangement that works for us all. And if the other player won't come to the table, then we need to be talking to the people that can bring them to the table.
Thank
It's
you.
really that.
I was gonna ask
Thank you,
the
Attorney.
legal person.
Randy, do you have anything else?
What's that?
Well, I mean, so I do ask, I get nothing. We're gonna send it to you. So, it's a very conflicting, do I write a check and pay somebody that's not doing something? And then they close the doors and then you guys are mad at me. If I don't get the information and I still pay, that's not okay. If I get the information and it's a loss and we decide not to support it because of loss, you guys are upset with me. So what I'm telling you, I agree 100%, and this is part of why we're in the position that we're in, is they didn't live up to, I'm gonna be very broad, but most of the requirements of the CDC set forth. We required them to send us their quarterly metrics. We never would get them despite requests. And they made requests for the administration before myself was asking for these. When we had these discussions, we were reassured we would get, quarterly metrics. We would be assured that they would attend our city functions to do health fairs, to do health screenings, to increase their business. I asked last year in October to get a mammogram out here, a mammogram van out here and do the mobile breast screenings. I asked at the events for them to do the health blood pressure screenings just to help get patient contact. Dr. Romero sat here at our March 22nd, 2022 meeting and explained to Dr. Nelson and Dean Patriarcha how important community involvement was with this clinic, and they needed to get out there and they needed to know the people and they needed to invest in the people. That there was a serious disconnect between the dean and the people that were at the clinic, and we begged and pleaded with them to make that, to close that gap. The first event that we had, they showed up an hour late with a stack of flyers and sat there for an hour and decided it wasn't worth their time and left the representative. I don't speak on this because I do not want to speak bad.
Okay, that's not accurate, by the way, that's
Sir,
Randy, that's
sir,
not accurate,
sir,
you know it's not.
Sir,
They left 5 minutes early,
Sir.
because kids wanted the basketball,
sir,
let's be real.
sir,
Okay,
No,
sir,
they left.
sir, you're out of order.
All of our tent tables stay up. They were the only clinic that left. I understand that, I'm not gonna, I've tried. You guys can believe me or not believe me. I have the facts. I need everything I see. I spent all day today pouring over my emails, making sure that I can answer to each and every one of your questions. But at the end of the day, UTRGV let us all down.
Yeah.
And I am truly sorry about that.
it's all there.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
And,
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Thank you, dear.
Listen, I understand everybody doing this. Maybe we're swimming in a pond that's too big for us. UTRGV might be too big of an animal, because when you have a monstrosity that is statewide like that, you not only bring the helpful resources, but you also bring the burden of the politicians. So all of that money rolls down and it all goes into the profit margin. And that's where they say, look, we're spending too much money. We don't have the number of people. You had 15,000 people down there and they were gonna run you out. We have 3,500.
So what are you saying? I mean, we're not working?
No, I think that we need to look at a smaller classification of clinics. I think we need to put together a proposal for people and say, These are our numbers, and this is what we're willing to offer you. How about a woman-owned small business doctor that wants to come in and open their own place? And give them
How costly that would be. That would be super costly. A physician alone is gonna be over your budget. If the physician's gonna be over your budget.
But we're
Just
talking
one
about,
person.
we're talking
One
about,
person.
you're right, man, but thank you for letting me finish before you interjected. What I'm saying is look at a small business that has other small clinics. There's 24-hour clinics popping up all over the place in Brownsville. They're not all owned by the same people. Maybe they want a sub office. Look, it's completely outfitted.
Yeah, now you're talking price.
Price.
Well, they're pricey, you're right, but
Yeah.
No, I mean, you won't
You
come.
can pay $100 to get in there.
we had a doctor that came one day a week.
Right.
Maybe we need to be looking in a different pool. Maybe we need to be looking for somebody whose costs, whose overhead isn't quite as much. At the end of the day, the referrals are the same, right? They're gonna refer you to the same specialists in Harlingen and Brownsville and McAllen and all the doctors that you go and see as a specialist. We're not talking about Houston and 1,000 different cardiologists they're gonna refer you to. We're talking about 10 different cardiologists that they're gonna refer you to between Brownsville and Harlingen, probably, right? So maybe the pool that we were looking at with the UTRGV, because of their overhead, is too much. You're not just paying for what's here. You're paying for everything across the state. And when their budget people go and they put it on paper, they say 3,500 people at 10 people a day doesn't make the cost. Why? Because our doctor that's there one day a week is only seeing 8.5 people on the average. Whereas when I put him in Brownsville, he sees 10 people or 20 people a day. So it's their business decision. But maybe we should put together some numbers and some facts and send it out to other smaller, lower level clinics. You're still gonna get PAs, you're still gonna get doctors, you're still gonna get a price quote from them. They're gonna look at their insurances, they're gonna look at how much they can make, and they're gonna run it like a small business. Yes,
That makes great sense. Don't focus on UTRGV.
If I may, everyone.
they don't care. They just chewed us up and spit us out.
That's right.
I want you to understand that we are all very much involved. We are not taking this lightly. And we are going to make a plan and we are going to try to be more proactive in keeping everyone informed. Point being is you've already made the step to have your own meeting.
But we want you to be a part of that
Well,
and partner with us. on it.
understand me, I'm gonna have to consult with my city manager and our attorney and our city council, because I am not that person, okay? I am a committee president, and that's it. So
I understand.
ultimately, what I'm giving you is the idea, we need to think very long and hard about what it is that we will settle for and what it is that we need. We all need to have a doctor. We understand that. But it's gonna take us some research and trying to find the best fit for our community. And you're gonna have to give us some time because this was just thrown at us, okay? It has to be understood, and that's the way it was.
Well, it's
Point
not thrown
being-
at you. We've known about it for 18 months, with
Yeah.
negotiation. But I understand what you're saying.
Well.
But we need
when
to all
they
be
say
together.
They're supposed to be here through the end of the year, and then we're supposed to renew every year. That was the agreement, sir. It wasn't 18 months ago. I beg to differ. Point being is, right now, we are going to disperse. And when we re-meet next time, I'm sure Mr.
What is
P
that?
will have come up with some possibilities, but it can't happen overnight.
I mean, this is a critical situation.
I understand.
So, and that's when I was asking, what's the contingency plan? So this is October, there's November, December. I don't know if this is being staffed or not now. I'm still
We
waiting
don't
for
know.
somebody to read my medical report.
No, we don't know, and we're not getting any affirmative action from them.
But we don't need to wait a month to the next standing committee meeting for y'all to, there needs to be,
I would urge all of you, right, to your mayor,
Representatives and
your
the
councilman, because again, we are a subcommittee.
right,
We don't have that power, we don't have that authority. What has brought us to, because then once we come to some kind of conclusion, then we submit it to the city council, okay?
yes, ma'am.
So theoretically, what y'all are doing by taking the next step and having your meeting where y'all can possibly come up with some plan or some resources available, we will work with you. We're not shutting the door and we're not saying go away. Point being, if we could sit here all night and we're not gonna accomplish much of anything, okay?
So, but this
I
committee's gonna make
appreciate that you all
recommendations,
have-
right?
And
To
if
the
it's
town council?
okay.
Yes,
Yes.
okay, so,
Before we adjourn, can I just ask one question? Of our attorney, if we have a contract that's signed, we all signed it, right?
We
The
did,
contract?
UTRGV has not.
They did not. Okay, so last year, they didn't sign. Okay.
As of June, the last time I asked
Oh,
for it, they
thank
still have not.
Yeah, thanks. The other question I have then is, in our previous contract with them, when we talk about them providing us with metrics, is that written into that
Yes,
contract?
sir. The original.
Okay,
Yeah,
then we
yes.
should have probably fired off some letters to get that information.
We
Well,
have-
I think it did.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah, because this is great info, this is the best information that we've had on this.
So going forward, just my question, is there like a solicitation process for this? Or how does that work?
Brenda, do you have anything else for this meeting?
Well, yeah, let me answer that. So, there's not a process.
People, we're still having a meeting, if you will, please. Please.
So what I'll do in conjunction with the town council and ask if we want to actually put a bid out there and have, and for a solicitation for it to come in. Dr. Yoribe, who is our doctor over the EMS portion, I've reached out to him and to help sort of facilitate any providers that might be looking for a home that might be willing to come to Laguna Vista. There's a lot of providers, according to what I've been told, that are leaving the bigger systems to open practices because of insurance and things like that, that I don't wanna get into, because I don't know. But, so I began making the phone calls, and putting the urgency behind it, so, I don't know that. I hope we can find something faster than a solicitation, because if I put a solicitation out, it gives everybody 30 days, and you have to review the, and not that that's bad, but I would like to hopefully get something in here that we can replace this, with
so y'all are taking no action. Is that
No, we
correct?
can't.
Well, there,
So you're not making any recommendations to the town council board according to your agenda, which says that you're gonna make basically, incentivized recommendations to the town council board.
Considering the circumstances with all of you coming in, we felt the priority was to talk to you.
Right.
To get feedback.
Right.
Right now, the only thing that we can incentivize is something that does not exist,
Right.
okay?
So my question
So
is
your
then, can y'all not, make a recommendation from the committee to the town council that there be appropriate funding, whatever it is, if it's $500,000, that if the appropriate funding be done to be able to do what you want to do.
Well, I would tell you that the city council and the mayor are fully aware of everything that's going
I
on.
understand.
Okay, so if they are of that knowledge, they would have the authority to make that recommendation without us. We do not have the money. We have 1% of a tax, a sales tax. That's what we deal with. That's all we have. And our budget does not support what you're talking about. So
Right.
ultimately,
partially
they
support.
already know this, sir. So they would have to make their own recommendation without us.
My other question is can we not, should also suggest that we politically play hardball? Because UTRGV just hardballed, and broke their agreement and contract that they never signed. So it's time,
That's real, that's kind of dicey, and we can't discuss that. Again, that's not for our authority here, sir. Okay?
Mr. Attorney,
And,
can they
you know,
not
and you
discuss it?
cannot put him in that position at this time. Okay?
Glad you find
No,
a
it's not.
bottle one,
It's not,
Okay.
$11.
I mean, if you want results, you're gonna have to get the county judge and the representatives here and the people who donate to that. They're gonna have to say, what's going on? We need some help.
I thank you. I thank all of you for coming.
Thank you.
And we're going to do the best that we can to fix this situation.
Rick, did you have one more question?
Thank you all for volunteering and doing your duty. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it very much.
Yes, for doing
So there's no last meeting was covered. Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's right. I didn't even know.